All right, Rabbi, say good morning. Let us begin. So we are continuing in Meretz Hashem in Osnun Tes this morning. So remember again, we began this particular piece yesterday, and in here the Rebbe introduced us to the idea of the power of Talmud Torah. That whereas we often think as Talmud Torah as the way in which we learn what to do, what not to do, that Torah teaches us again mitzvos aseh, mitzvos lo aseh, positive commandments, prohibitions. The Rebbe introduces us to the idea that Torah is in fact so much more impactful and profound. That Torah from lashon hora'ah, from lashon of instruction, or for lashon of guidance, ultimately teaches us how to be introspective, and goes ahead and allows us, puts us in an introspective, contemplative frame of mind to be able to go ahead and look at ourselves and look at life in a critical way. So remember again, the Rebbe, this piece is coming on the heels of the previous piece where the Rebbe taught that there's a gift in sin. And the gift in sin is that sin has the ability to point out my deficiencies and shortcomings, which is incredible, which is wonderful, except the Rebbe says, is there a way to learn about my deficiencies and shortcomings without sinning? To which the Rebbe says, yes, Torah. That when I learn, again, I become more attentive to myself. When I learn, I become more introspective. When I learn, I have the ability to go ahead and see my deficiencies and shortcomings, even in the absence of sin. So let's continue with this idea. So we're picking up on page Kuf Mem Beis in the Be'uriach Hasidus, the right-hand column. So I think we may have read this. I can prove this matter, says the Rebbe, from the following idea. Shaharigam kisha odom lomed as dine seder kodshim hamedaber be'inyan hakravas hakarbanos. So, for example, even when a person learns kodshim, sacrificial matters that deal with karbanos, nikra v'nechshav lo hadavar shu osik batorah hari shegam as hatorah mora lo as darko umadricha osalamaisa b'poal. Interestingly enough, so remember, we did mention this yesterday, even when a person learns kachin, a person learning karbanos. So when I learn karbanos, there's nothing per se halacha lamaisa for me. So if you assume that the power of Torah is that it tells me what to do and what not to do, that the entire value of Torah lives in the realm of being an instructive guide for what to do in everyday life, which of course is a major part of Torah, then what exactly do I get from kachin? What do I get? What do I get from that? Elamai says, Rebbe, you see that the power of Torah is such that even when I learn something that is quote-unquote not halacha lemaisa, in terms of the do's and don'ts in life, it's halacha lemaisa in that it forces me to become a more introspective, thoughtful person. I've also, this is truly beautiful what he writes now. The Ketzad Hu Adavar. So let me explain to you how this works, says Hatzaddik. He says, V'ketzad hu hadavar, rak ha'adrachihi, rak kimo shomer v'sinu zal b'medrash eicha. He goes to also say a beautiful and moving medrash eicha, where the pasuk says, v'osi azu ve'estarasi lo shamaru. So the pasuk in eicha says, Kadosh Baruch Hu laments the fact, Klal Yisrael, they have left me, osi azavu, they have left me, sorasi lo shamaru. I'm sorry, this is in Yirmiyahu, not in Eicha. And they did not keep my Torah. So also, if you think about it, it sounds a little bit redundant, right? If you say, Osia Zavo, they left me, then of course that means they didn't keep my Torah. Same idea as if you say they didn't keep my Torah, that means they left me. So why does the Navi have to say both things? Why does it have to say, Osia Azavu, they left me, Vesorasai lo shamar, they didn't keep my Torah. So listen to this incredible Medrash Eicha. Shekadosh Baruch Hu Omer, because it's as if Kiviyachol, the Ribono Shel Olam says, Halavai osi azvu v'sorasi shamaro. Listen, this is wild. The Medrash writes, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what? Halavai, I wish that they had just left me, but kept my Torah. And I will say, what does that mean? So can you imagine this? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what? If they don't want a relationship with me, okay, I can live with that. But at least they should keep my Torah. So we'll say, what Shahare, misaskin ba, hama'or sheba, machsir ha'osek ba l'mutav. So we'll say, this is incredible. What the Rebbe was saying was, if Klal Yisrael would have just forsaken a relationship with me, I could have lived with that as long as they would have kept learning Torah. Because if they keep learning Torah, at least under those circumstances, the Torah will awaken the light within them. Because when a person learns, as we were saying before, they become more introspective. When a person learns, they become more thoughtful. When a person learns, they're willing to encounter and they're willing to embrace their own shortfalls and deficiencies. Salish Baruch Hu said, even if Klal Yisrael would have totally left me, if at least they would have kept learning my Torah, there would have been hope for personalistic rehabilitation. But Hakadosh Baruch Hu laments the double tragedy. Osi Azvu, they left me, V'sorasai lo shamaru, and they didn't keep my Torah. They stopped learning. And when a Jew stops learning, the entire vehicle for introspection and the entire vehicle for self-evaluation, it dissipates. He goes on, he says, Shama or Shabbamas Tova, the or Chachmas HaTorah, Meir Bo, Lachkimo Mechashechas Ha'apsios, Shenifte B'sichlos HaYetzara, Achechozra La'avodas Hashem Yisbarach. Well, this is very profound. Hatzaddik writes, because the wisdom of Torah has the ability to go ahead and literally illuminate one from the foolishness of the Yetzirah, until ultimately one finds their way back to the Ribono Shel Olam. So both say, so herein lies the power of Torah, says Reb Tzaddik. So we see, it turns out that according to Reb Tzaddik, there's really two elements to learning. There's the functional utilitarian part of learning, which is, I learn Torah, why? Because how are you a functional Jew without Torah? Right? In other words, both say, how do I keep Shabbos if I don't know Hilchos Shabbos? And how do I keep Kashrus if I don't know Hilchos Kashrus? Right? And how do I wash my hands in the morning if I don't know the halachos of Natilas Yadayim? There's a functional piece. I need to learn Torah in order to be able to properly live as a Jew. This is an incredibly important yesod. But part two, says Reb Tzaddik, and of course we know this is one of these dynamics where I think we're explaining it, or you could try to explain it in words, but at the end of the day, the words don't really do it justice, because it's a dynamic that you just have to experience in order to really understand its realness. The second dynamic to Torah is ultimately, again, when I go ahead and I learn, it opens my eyes. And it opens my heart. To what? To me. I feel like a different person. And I'm willing to introspect. And I'm willing to self-evaluate. And I'm willing to engage in the process of self-judgment. And I'm willing to do all of these things so that I can really tackle my shortcomings and my deficiencies without having to sin. So I will say, so what Reb Tzaddik is positing is, there are two ways you come to the process of self-evaluation. Possibility one is I sin. And again, the great part of sin, I know it sounds strange, but the great part of sin is, I know what my weaknesses are, I know what my deficiencies are, I know what I have to do. But then there's the process of learning. And when I learn, I have the ability to go ahead and engage in this process of self-evaluation without the sin. Well, how does it work? Torah opens my mind. I'll say, herein lies the power of Talmud Torah. Torah opens my mind, allows me to be self-evaluative, allows me to introspect, and allows me to truly see me for who I am, both the good as well as the not so good. The learning of Torah fundamentally transforms us. So the Rebbe goes on. He says, Amnam, b'hashba'as ha'Torah ha'ala usikba, Yish kama madrego shona. So we'll say, let's at least begin this piece today, and then the Meretz Hashem will go weiter. So he says, in this process of learning Torah in a we'll call it self-evaluative or transformative fashion, there are different levels. He says, ukidei shar Torah yofia eisik ba v'yod achzir lemutav v'ayidei ar zehatorah hu agune magina min yesurim umatzli minachit matzli miyitzahar shalo yachshilenu lechet. So we'll say, so this is actually over here an interesting idea. Tzaddik says, he quotes over here the Gemara Maseches Sota, and the Gemara seeks out the idea that Torah migna umatzla. Torah provides these two different aspects to it. Migna means it protects us, or I should say like a magain, or it shields me, and matzla, it saves me. protects me and saves me. And I will say, now, although those two words seem synonymous, they in fact mean two different things. So Rashi, for example, says, right? Rashi says, Migno Matzla. So he says, Migna means it protects me from Yisur, from punishments. From punishments, right? Or from suffering. That Torah has the ability to protect me from punishment and suffering. Matzla saves me, means it has the ability to save me from the Yetzer Hara. Two different components. Torah has the ability to save me from suffering, Migna, Matzla from the Yetzer Hara. So we'll say, which tells you, we're going to see, Hatzaddik is going to say that these two aspects show you the two different dynamics within Torah. He goes on, he says, K'mo she'amru Chazal b'sota, ubikach haTorah madricha es ha'adam, ketzad yuchal letakin es nafsho. V'zeu ha'perish, shamash amru ha'ma'ar sheba, machzer es adam mutav. Or, we'll stop over here for today. We'll pick up in Mirat Hashem with this piece. But again, just to end off with these dynamics, when we say that the Torah Migna Umatzla, this is a phrase that's very often quoted about the power of Torah. Migna, it saves me from Yisurin, which could mean punishment or suffering. Umatzla, and it saves me from myself. It saves me from the Yitzhara. So we'll stop over here for today. We'll pick up in Mirat Hashem with this dynamic tomorrow.